My new address will be someplace on Anywhere Road. It's the prettiest someplace on Anywhere Road. And all the millionaire's money couldn't build a better abode than my someplace on Anywhere Road.
Hi there, I'm David Duncan and welcome to Bing Crosby, The Hollywood Years. Well, 1953 saw a dramatic change to Bing as far as acting was concerned. And whilst he'd won the Best Actor Oscar in 1945 for the charming Leo McCarey film Going My Way, the role of Father O'Malley required no big departure from Bing's relaxed persona. He was more serious and controlled, but still, it was within his range. Director George Seaton felt that Bing had a lot more to offer as an actor and convinced him to take on the more challenging role of a father in search of his lost son in the aftermath of World War II, with the film adaptation of Margarita Lasky's novel Little Boy Lost. Filmed partly in France, Bing plays the war correspondent Bill Wainwright, stationed in Paris during World War II, just before the invasion by Germany. It's during a broadcast that he meets a local radio singer called Lisa, played by the beautiful French actress Nicole Moret.
Sur lequel ton arche joue et qui vibre tout du long, appuyé contre ta joue. We get there on it.
At a party for the radio station, they get to know each other better by singing a fun rendition of the classic song Darktown Strutter's Ball.
And I had just enough wine in me to retaliate by joining her on the next chorus with my fractured French. I'll chercher pour vous dans son taxi, chérie. En garde 8h30. Now, chérie, wait for me. Nous arrivons là-bas quand l'orchestre commence. Attention, when we get there, honey. Le 12 steps, elle est tout pour moi. Je danserai away mon chou. Quand jouer le Jerry Roll Blues. Demain soir, oh, le Darktown Strutter's Ball. Alors, les tout ensemble, anglais, français. Oui, oui. I'll chercher pour vous dans le taxi, chérie. En garde 8h30. Now, chérie, wait for me. When you find someone with whom you can share laughter, you also find good reason to share the same food and wine.
After all the usual highs and lows, the couple decide to marry, and before long, Lisa gives birth to a son.
You know, I could become very fond of you.
As the war progresses, Bing's character is restationed to London, where he continues his broadcasts. But one night, while listening to his wife sing on her program from Paris, the radio station goes dead.
I practically lived in the studio in London, but I always kept tuned in on Radio Paris.
Sur lequel ton arche joue et qui vibre tout du long, appuyé contre ta joue.
Hey, Ronnie, this thing's acting up again. Nothing wrong with the receiver, Bill. The Jerry's must have cut off the transmitter.
He later learns that she's been killed by the Gestapo for being a spy, but their son was lucky enough to be smuggled into an orphanage where he remained for the rest of the war. Now this takes us to the present day in the film, which is not long after the war's end. Bing is the narrator throughout the film, which is a really effective way of moving the story along, and his voice work is both dramatic and solemn and contributes greatly to the overall mood of the film. In search of his son, he meets up with an old friend played by Claude Dauphin, who is assisting in the search. A new lead takes them to an orphanage where they meet a young boy called Jean. However, the fact that his name is similar to the name of Bing's son, John, seems more like a coincidence.
Jean? J-E-A-N?
Yes.
Well, my son's name is John. They sound a good deal alike, don't you think? And when a child says them, it'd be difficult to tell the difference. He tell you his name was Jean?
No, I'm afraid it was just a coincidence. When Madame Quillebeuf brought him, she called him Boubou. He was unable to give us any indication of his own name, and it just so happened that the day before he arrived, another boy called Jean died. Since the name tags were on the bed and the clothes, and since we were very busy at the time...
It's easy to see, Ma Mère, that you've been able to keep emotion out of your relationship with the children.
Now Bing gets to know Jean, and as much as he likes the little boy, he's just not convinced that it's his son.
I began to study his walk as she told me to, but I didn't find the slightest similarity. Oh, this is just a waste of time. It couldn't be my child. My son would be agile, sure-footed. He'd coordinate better than that.
There seems to be a breakthrough, however, when Jean recalls smelling a perfume that Lisa used to wear, and this is enough to give Bing some confidence that there's a possibility that it really is his son.
You think my secretary would care for this, Pierre?
Very subtle.
You like it, Jean?
Someplace I just smelled this before. There was a lady. She smelled that way.
Ah, to know at last that our boy was alive made me alive, too. For the first time in years. And it brought Lisa back.
Someday you'll be looking through a magic window, and you'll see yourself sail off with Captain Kidd. Ah, what adventures you'll enjoy, and you'll be the only boy to discover where the treasure chest was hid. And if I remember, that's what I once did. Grown-ups don't know where to find that magic window, but it's any window little boys look through. Ah, there's so much for you to see, so don't ever say to me that you've got a lot of growing up to do. 'Cause I wish that I were growing down to you.
Troubles arise, though, when Jean starts remembering things that he couldn't have.
Did Boubou remember?
Yes, he remembered. He even remembered a bicycle shop that he couldn't have seen because it's only been there for 6 months. You told him, didn't you?
I told him to remember anything you want him to remember. On the perfume. I told him it should make him to remember a lady who used to hold him and kiss him and sing to him.
Realizing that Jean had been lying, Bing decides that sadly he must now walk away.
I've got to get away from here and think this thing over. Maybe after a couple of days I'll be able to look at it a little more objectively.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
It's not that simple. What I thought would happen has happened. Now that I've started again, I got to go on searching.
In the end, however, it's a small stuffed toy that was given to his son when he was born, called Binky, which holds the key. Bing finds the same stuffed toy at a carnival and sends it to Jean as a parting gift. And when Jean looks at the toy and calls it by name, it gives firm confirmation that Jean is indeed Bing's son.
A long time ago, I called it Binky.
Binky! Binky est revenu. It is Binky. He come back. Binky, mon chien. Binky. Mon chien. Binky est revenu.
Good, good. I promised to take you to the circus. You still want to go?
Oh, yeah.
You're holding my hand too tight.
I'm sorry.
Johnny Burke and Jimmy Van Heusen once again supplied the songs that all fit beautifully into the story and were all sung by Bing in a very relaxed and conversational way.
There was a song, how'd that thing go now? It was written way before you were born. About this very same thing, too. Let's see. The Yankee reaches for his hat, the Frenchman his chapeau. The Frenchman takes a promenade, the Yankee's on the go. But however people say, or whatever people do, c'est la métigale if it's all the same to you.
10-year-old French boy, Christian Fourcade, played the role of Jean very well, given his limited acting experience at the time. Bing was very protective of him during the filming, both in France and in Hollywood, and Christian had very happy memories of working with Bing. He described him as a simple and kind man who ended up becoming as much of a father to him in real life as he does in the film. In fact, they remained in contact right up to Bing's death in 1977.
If it's all the same to you, it's all the same to me. C'est la métigale, c'est la vie.
Well, Little Boy Lost holds a special place for me. It was the first Crosby film I ever saw at the ripe old age of 10, and I still remember how Bing's relaxed and confident manner in which he spoke and sang a song struck me as something really special, and from that moment on, I was a fan. Also, it was during the making of this film that Bing's wife Dixie died. In fact, there's one scene that it's a simple shot with Bing walking from a bus stop to the train station where director George Seaton praised him as it looked as though he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. Well, when the shot was finished, Bing showed George Seaton a telegram that he'd just received that confirmed that Dixie's status was terminal and that she only had a short time to live. Well, whether it was the personal tragedy or just experience or maturity, with Little Boy Lost, Bing proved he had what it took to take on more serious roles in the future, and that's what we'll look at in the next episode of Bing Crosby, The Hollywood Years. I'm David Duncan. I'll see you then.